When in May this year, my country confronted unprovoked aggression from our eastern front, the enemy came shrouded in arrogance. We sent them back in humiliation, delivering our bloody nose. Our falcons took flight and etched their answer across the skies, resulting in 7 of the Indian jets turned to scrap and dust. A decisive response.
The Prime Minister of Pakistan also advanced a bizarre account of the recent conflict with India. The record on this matter is clear. Till 9th May, Pakistan was threatening more attacks on India. But on 10th May, its military pleaded with us directly for a cessation to the fighting. The intervening event was the destruction caused to multiple Pakistani air bases by Indian forces. The pictures of that damage are, of course, publicly accessible. If destroyed runways and burnt out hangars look like victory, as the Prime Minister claimed, Pakistan is welcome to enjoy it.
We have won the war, and now we seek to win peace in our part of the world. And this is my most sincere and serious offer before this August Assembly of the World Nations. Pakistan stands ready for a composite, comprehensive, and result-oriented dialogue with India on all outstanding issues. South Asia requires, ladies and gentlemen, proactive rather than provocative leadership.
The truth is that, as in the past, Pakistan is responsible for a terrorist attack on innocent civilians in India. We have exercised the right to defend our people against such actions and have brought the organizers and perpetrators to justice. The Pakistani Prime Minister has spoken about wanting peace with India. If he is indeed sincere, the pathway is clear. Pakistan must immediately shut down all terrorist camps and hand over to us terrorists wanted in India. It is also ironic that a country which wallows in hate, bigotry, and intolerance should preach to this assembly on matters of faith. The political and public discourse of Pakistan reflects its true nature.
India's unilateral and illegal attempt to hold the Indus Water Treaty in abeyance defies the provisions of the treaty itself as well as the norms of international law. Pakistan has made it abundantly clear, and let there be no doubt once again in anybody's mind, as I said last year in this hall from this podium, we will definitely and ardently defend, inshallah, the inseparable right of our 240 million people on these waters. To us, any violation of this Indus Treaty represents an act of war. Ladies and gentlemen, through this august house, I wish to assure the Kashmiri people that I stand with them. The people of Pakistan stand with them. And one day soon, inshallah, India's tyranny in Kashmir will come to a grinding halt. Kashmir will gain its fundamental right to self-determination through an impartial plebiscite under the auspices of this very organization, United Nations.
Clearly, a look by them at the mirror is long overdue. Mr. President, India and Pakistan have long agreed that any outstanding issue between them will be addressed bilaterally. There is no room for any third party in that regard. This is our long-standing national position. Where terrorism is concerned, we are making it clear that there will be no distinction between the terrorists and their sponsors. Both will be held accountable. Nor will we allow terrorism to be practiced under the cover of a nuclear blackmail. India will never bow to such threats. India's message to the world is clear. There must be zero tolerance for terrorism.
Pakistan continues to engage with all partners to extend humanitarian assistance, promote economic recovery, and encourage inclusive political framework in Afghanistan. The interim Afghan government must, however, uphold human rights, including women's rights. Above all, we expect that Afghan interim government to take effective action against terrorist groups and to ensure that Afghan soil is not used for terrorism against any country. Hate-driven ideologies such as India's Hindutva driven extremism pose a danger to the entire world. While there is growing recognition of the dangers posed by Islamophobia, the imperative of effectively combating this menace can hardly be overemphasized. Pakistan welcomes the appointment of a UN Special Envoy to combat this scourge.
This is the very same Pakistan which, at the UN Security Council on 25th April 2025, shielded the Resistance Front, a Pakistani-sponsored terror outfit, from the responsibility of carrying out the barbaric massacre of tourists in the Indian Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Mr. President, a country long steeped in the tradition of deploying and exporting terrorism has no shame in advancing the most ludicrous narratives to that end. Let us recall that it sheltered Osama bin Laden for a decade, even while pretending to partner in the war against terrorism. Its ministers have just recently acknowledged that they have been operating terrorist camps for decades. It should come as no surprise that once again this duplicity continues, this time at the level of its Prime Minister.